An entitled mother insists that I share my Nintendo Switch with her child on my flight, by user Artlanta. This just happened the other day, and after sharing this story with friends and family, a few of them suggested that I share it here. The scene is a Southwest airline flight. I was sitting in a window seat next to two lovely women, and directly horizontal from us was an empty seat, a mom and her son. The flight was taking off. For those who don't know, you are required to stay seated and keep your seatbelts on for the beginning of the flight until the captain says otherwise. I was strapped in my seat and decided to take out my Nintendo Switch from my carry-on beneath my feet. "Excuse me? Ma'am." I didn't realize at first that the mother in the seats horizontal from me was trying to get my attention. She unbuckled her belt and moved to the empty seat by the aisle, closer to me. "Ma'am. With the video game." I lifted my head, but the stranger next to me nudged me as well. "That lady wants to get your attention," the woman next to me muttered. I turned my head to see this woman leaning across the aisle with her hands on the armrest of the aisle seat in my row. "Sorry," she began. "I just wanted to know if there was any way that my son could use that game for a little while." "I'm so sorry," I began. "My Nintendo Switch is just really important to me. I don't feel comfortable giving it to anyone I don't know. I don't even let my sisters play with it." I was going to continue, but the woman cut me off. "Oh, my son's not like most kids," she replied. "He's not destructive, his cousin has one of those and he knows how to play." She smiled and set her hand out. The two women seated next to me looked at me, as if they were also in disbelief. "I'm sorry," I said again. "I just don't feel comfortable. I brought it for me." "How old are you?" the woman said with a huff, retracting her hand and slapping it on her lap. "I'm 25, but I don't see how that matters," I replied, growing exceptionally uncomfortable. "Well," she began, clearly sounding agitated. "My son is 8. This is an hour and 45-minute flight and he just wants something to do. He can't see it for a few minutes. No, I am not comfortable with that, I'm sorry, but I'm expecting you to understand since this is my property." I put my head down and I unpaused my game, as to ignore anything she had further to say. "Are you serious?" She seemed genuinely livid. "Well, insert child's name here, sorry buddy. Not everyone knows how to share," the woman said to the kid next to her. Her child started whining and kicking the seat in front of him. "Thanks for this," she said to me. "A sweet kid just wants to share with you and you're being ignorant about it." Before I even opened my mouth, one of the ladies in my row snapped back at her. "How dare you bring that energy on this plane? She told you so kindly that she doesn't feel comfortable with passing her electronics to a stranger." The mother wasn't having it. "She's an adult and can't share with a child for a few minutes of a nearly 2-hour flight. You should have brought something for him to do then," the woman in my row responded. It shut her up good. At the end of the flight, the woman collected her luggage from the overhead bins and said, "I hope you're happy going against God's word, not sharing with a child." Some of the people around us giggled. I'm sure that they all overheard the drama at the beginning of the flight. I've come across some entitled people in my life, but this strange lady took the cake. My family came to visit me for 2 weeks and stole $500 plus of stuff from my apartment, by user living caution. I live in a tiny 1-bedroom, my parents invited themselves over to live here for 2 weeks. They live over 1,000 miles away and drove here to my city. They couldn't afford to pay for a hotel and I felt rude if I didn't let them stay. It was a mess, they slept on blow-up mattresses and I couldn't walk anywhere without tripping. The first day my mom threw everything out of my bedroom closet because I needed to organize and she took photos of everything. I noticed my mom stashing some of my clothes away in my little sister's suitcase. When I called her out she called me selfish and denied it. She had several meltdowns and temper tantrums when I told her to stop going through everything I own. Sneakily over the first week she kept digging and finding stuff I was hiding on purpose. She got mad at me for having condoms and alcohol. My dad got really upset about that too. It's been a couple days since they left, and I just noticed all the clothing they stole from me, and makeup. I had hundreds and hundreds of dollars of makeup that I can't afford to replace. My bathroom cabinet was wiped out. I honestly feel betrayed and feel like I have nobody to trust now, not even my own family. My mom and sister are denying everything. They said I never had it to begin with. Update, I confronted/called my mom and she admitted to taking the stuff I noticed missing. There are some things that are gone but she won't admit to it. She paid me back for those items, and sounded distraught on the phone. I told her it would be cheaper to send a package, but she says it would be more expensive. I doubt that, she just wants the items she took. It's why she wouldn't use that money to buy them herself, instead of using used makeup. My dad is gonna find out they stole things when he sees that, if he didn't already know. That was the first time she's had an angry tone with me since I was in high school. My sister admitted to taking one item, but I know she has more. I don't even know where to start with my clothes. They took items I wore less in the back of my closet, so I can't keep track. I'm definitely not letting them come back, and they don't have a key. I originally moved far away to escape them, but over time I've let my guard down. I'm not around them as much. If I ever go back home, I'm gonna do some digging. I'm still in shock and don't really understand how I feel right now. My mom did this because she thought I wouldn't notice. She asked for items I had while she was here, and I told her no. The morning they left, my mom told me to sleep in while they were packing, and she took those items. Stepmom won't stop using the only car I'm insured on to go shopping, causing me to be late for work, by user Kojit the Kojot. I grew up in an abusive household, and it got so bad that my dad eventually got me out of there. As a gift for my 18th birthday, I received a used 2008 Acura TSX, which I used to get to work and hang out with friends. I'm fully aware that it isn't exactly my car, but it's the only vehicle I'm insured on. My stepmom has her own car, but she never uses it. She always has to take the one my dad bought for me. She uses up all of the gas I bought, and then refuses to fill it up, and with the current state of gas prices, I can barely afford a full tank. She never uses the car for anything important, only for shopping. I had texted her to tell her I had work the night before. She took my car anyway. By the time she got back I was late for work by 30 minutes, and she yelled at me, saying that she had to stop shopping to bring the car back, as if she was the one being inconvenienced. And I know this is hard to believe, but she somehow brings her daughter's grades into the whole argument. I'm 2 days post-surgery and my mom decides to have a surprise get-together at my place, by USCR2. She tried to play it off like it would be good for my recovery to see some family, however I haven't seen this side of the family for years. Then I find out that she just didn't want to host them at her place, but she thought it would be a good idea for me to host while I'm supposed to be on bed rest for at least a week. This is the last straw and what will definitely ruin my relationship with my mother and family. It's so disrespectful, like I have to be dead for them to respect my boundaries. Not to mention that this is all out of the blue with her knowing I'm recovering. Edit. Thank you, Internet PPL, for reading my rant. It helps to vent and it helps me realize I'm doing nothing wrong. I understand most of the advice is to cut PPL off even if it's family, but it's been hard. For now I'm blocking my mother because she knew of my condition and proceeded with her stupid idea. It's a big step for me. In an ideal world she wouldn't be so unreasonable and unbearable, but in this moment she is. My mom is trying to get a loan in my name, by user measurement no 4675. I, 20F, received an email this morning informing me that someone had authorized a credit inquiry in my name. I immediately turned my attention to my mother, 37F, who has been begging me to co-sign on a new car with her despite my refusal, to which she admitted it was her and she was trying to get a loan. I then went off on her, explaining that what she did was fraud and that I didn't authorize it, and she tried to gaslight me by saying that I'm selfish and never help her and that I wouldn't have anything if it weren't for her. My mother is extremely financially irresponsible, having fallen behind on current car payments, 2 mortgages, and owing me $10,000. I'm afraid she'll ruin my credit like she did her own. A little background: I'm a college student who does not live at home and does not rely on her financially. I work 2 jobs and support myself. My car, which was a gift to me when I turned 16, is the only thing she has on me as it's in her name.